Kelly LeBrock was the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. Pantene built a whole campaign around her face. 2 hit movies made her an icon before she turned 25. Then she married Steven Seagal, and everything fell apart. There was an affair with the family nanny, a secret child born months after the divorce filing, and a scandal so ugly she ripped the television out of her own house so her kids wouldn't see it. After that, Kelly vanished. She once admitted she became a hermit who feared leaving the house. What happened to her after that is a story nobody expected. The making of an icon. Kelly LeBrock's story begins far from the spotlight. She was born on March 24, 1960, in New York City, but her family soon moved across the Atlantic to Kensington, one of London's most polished neighborhoods. That shift mattered. She had the directness of New York in her bones, but grew up surrounded by British Polish, private schools, and refined manners. Summers in the Sussex countryside gave her distance from city shine. By the time she was 12, she was already tall enough to turn heads. Her father, Harold Arthur LeBrock, dealt in dangerous, high-value work through a mercury mine and ran an elegant restaurant on Lake Champlain. Her mother, Mary Cecilia Traynor, had modeled in post-war London and later built a thriving antiques business in Knightsbridge. Kelly was raised inside beauty, money, risk, and taste all at once. As a little girl, she was already around Queen Anne chairs, Georgian silver, and old pieces whose value came from history. That kind of environment teaches the eye. It teaches instinct. Kelly learned early that beauty was not only admired, it was also sold, chased, protected, and built entire lives around. Her teenage years made her tougher. At one point, she was sent to school in Montreal, where she faced strict rules, cold winters, and loneliness. There she learned French seriously and became fluent. Language changes how a person listens and responds. It builds patience. All of that fed into the poise people later admired. The rise. By 16, on March 24, 1976, she left school behind and flew alone to New York. Most girls that age wait for permission. Kelly moved. She arrived with photographs, ambition, and a face people remembered. In 1976, while most teenagers worried about exams, Kelly found herself on a British Airways set in the Seychelles for her first major job. It was a cinematic beginning. At 19, she entered Vogue and came out with something rare. In the April 1981 issue of American Vogue, she was given a 24-page editorial spread. That kind of spotlight is not handed out casually. It told the industry she was not just another pretty face, she was being positioned as a defining face of a new decade. Christian Dior moved quickly and signed her to an exclusive deal. Then came Versace. By the early 1980s, she was a symbol of high-end beauty. Soon, magazine covers multiplied: Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmopolitan. One especially famous image, her March 1981 Cosmopolitan cover, became a beauty moment. People remember long after the issue is gone. But while the public saw glamour, the private reality was harder. Kelly later spoke about how shallow the modeling world could feel. Some agents thought her features were too strong, too European. Then success came, but that brought another pressure. The image that made her famous also boxed her in. The Pantene phenomenon. In 1986, her Pantene commercial exploded into popular culture with the line, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful." The ad pushed her into mainstream recognition in a way magazine covers could not. People repeated the line everywhere. It was joked about, mocked, copied, and remembered. Pantene benefited. Kelly became even more famous. The strange part is that she herself hated saying it, and later called it conceited nonsense. But fame does not always care how the person inside feels. Hollywood calling? Once her image had flooded American magazines, Hollywood started paying attention. Gene Wilder was searching for a very specific presence for the woman in red. He looked through models for months. Then he found Kelly. When she walked into the audition, the search ended. Wilder cast her as Charlotte. The film arrived in August 1984, and with it, Kelly made her screen debut in a way that immediately put her at the center of attention. The woman in red made money, and pushed Kelly from fashion fame into movie fame. Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You" became massive, climbed to #1, and won the Oscar for Best Original Song. Kelly's debut was tied to one of the most recognizable songs of the decade. Then came the role that made her an icon of 1980s pop culture forever. In 1985, she starred in Weird Science as Lisa, the dream woman created by two teenage boys on a computer. She gave the role exactly what it needed: warmth, humor, and control. The movie opened in August 1985, and quickly became the kind of film that outlived its original run. It kept living on cable, VHS, and later through internet nostalgia. Kelly later admitted she had not fully understood the script when she accepted the job. She trusted John Hughes. The original actress cast as Lisa was replaced, and Kelly was flown in quickly to step into a production already in motion. Robert Downey Jr., still early in his career, brought so much unpredictable energy that his behavior reportedly came close to causing real problems on set. All of this somehow added to the movie's strange magic. The first marriage. Right in the middle of that sudden rise, Kelly made a quiet move. In 1984, at just 24, she married Victor Dre in a small high-society ceremony. Dre was a Moroccan-born French nightclub owner and film producer who moved comfortably through elite Los Angeles circles. For Kelly, that marriage placed her directly inside Hollywood's most fashionable nightlife. But after barely 2 years, Kelly and Victor divorced in 1986. There was no giant public explosion. Kelly has rarely spoken about Victor Dre at all. Yet the divorce did not send her backward. Steven Seagal and the collapse. Sometime in the mid-1980s, not long after her divorce from Victor Dre, Kelly met Steven Seagal. He was building a Hollywood identity that mixed martial arts danger with a strange kind of confidence. Kelly was already being described as one of the most beautiful women in the world. They married in 1987 when Kelly was 27 and Seagal was 35. For a while, they looked perfect. Then children arrived. Kelly and Steven welcomed 3 children. Their first daughter, Annalisa, was born on May 20, 1987. Their son, Dominic, followed on June 21, 1990. Then came their youngest daughter, Arissa, born on July 24, 1993. The story of that third child's name would later turn into one of the darkest details in Kelly's life. Kelly said the name Arissa was chosen in honor of the family's nanny, Arissa Wolf. At the time, it felt warm and meaningful, but later, that choice would become painfully ironic. During Kelly and Steven's divorce in the mid-1990s, it came out that Seagal had been having an affair with that same nanny. And in 1996, Arissa Wolf gave birth to Savannah Seagal, who is legally Steven's daughter, not Kelly's child. What had once looked like a sweet tribute became a cruel symbol of betrayal. As of 2026, Steven Seagal remains a controversial figure. In recent years, he has faced renewed scrutiny following the 2024 documentary, The Seagal Tapes, which revisited multiple allegations of misconduct spanning decades. He has continued to maintain a public presence through his work with Russian state media, a relationship that began in 2018. Meanwhile, Kelly's name has resurfaced in nostalgic retrospectives as Weird Science enjoys a 40th anniversary revival this year, with John Hughes' estate planning a special collector's edition re-release. Inside the marriage, the balance shifted. Kelly stepped back from her own career to raise their children. Steven's career kept growing, and Kelly herself was never fully at ease in Hollywood. She once said, "I was never impressed with myself or Hollywood. I never really cared about it." Those were not the words of someone mourning a lost celebrity life. They were the words of someone already trying to walk away. The public humiliation. By the mid-1990s, the marriage was no longer just unhappy. It had become humiliating. Kelly filed for divorce on April 4, 1996, citing irreconcilable differences after nearly 9 years together. From there, everything spilled out into public view. The affair became a tabloid story. It became an evening news story. Kelly later said, "The divorce was very ugly, and details of the case were on the evening news." This was public heartbreak repeated across screens. She said she did not want her kids seeing it, so she got rid of the television entirely. That decision tells you exactly what kind of mother she was trying to be. And even then, the worst details kept coming. Arissa Wolfe gave birth to Steven Seagal in September 1996, only months after Kelly filed for divorce. The betrayal was not just an affair. It was a whole second family beginning to appear while Kelly was still trying to process the collapse of her own. At the same time, other troubling stories about Seagal were surfacing. Allegations connected to his behavior toward women had already begun in the early 1990s. Those accusations did not begin with Kelly's divorce, but they deepened the public picture of who he was. The disappearance. What makes Kelly's response so striking is that she did not answer any of this with a dramatic reinvention. She did not try to win the spotlight back. She simply stepped away. She moved her children out of Los Angeles so they could grow up around what she called real people, the kids of gas pump attendants and plumbers, not children trapped inside celebrity culture. She sold the glamorous life and chose something rural, practical, and quiet. She later described preferring dirt under her nails to diamonds and Los Angeles parties. That was not a cute line. It was the real shape of her life after the divorce. This year, in early 2026, a rare photograph of Kelly surfaced on a fan-run Instagram account, showing her at a farmer's market near Santa Ynez. The image went viral among Gen X nostalgia groups, sparking a wave of, "Where is she now?" articles across digital publications. One of her former co-stars from Weird Science, Elan Mitchell-Smith, gave a brief interview in March 2026, confirming that Kelly still keeps in touch with a small circle of old friends, but has no interest in appearing at the planned 40th anniversary reunion. Third marriage, third ending. Years later, Kelly entered a third marriage. On July 28, 2007, at age 47, she married retired investment banker Fred Steck in a low-key ceremony. This time, there were no giant headlines. But that marriage also failed quickly. By September 2008, only 14 months later, Kelly filed for divorce, again citing irreconcilable differences. Victor Dre had lasted from 1984 to 1986. Steven Seagal from 1987 to 1996. Fred Steck from 2007 to 2008. 3 marriages, 3 endings. Life today. After that final divorce, Kelly withdrew even more deeply from public life. In a rare 2013 interview, she admitted, "I became a hermit. I feared everything and didn't want to leave the house." That confession makes sense when you connect it to everything that came before years of public scrutiny, a humiliating divorce, the collapse of trust, the pressure of fame, and the feeling that Hollywood itself had never fit her. She built a different kind of life. She left Beverly Hills behind and settled into ranch living near Santa Barbara and later in the Santa Ynez Valley. She lived without television for years. She grew vegetables, made yogurt and cheese, cared for animals, and rode horses. She gained weight for a time, later lost it, and went through a long, private, emotional rebuilding that never makes glamorous headlines, but matters more than any of them. Today, at 66 years old, Kelly LeBrock remains largely out of the public eye. She does not have official social media accounts. She does not chase interviews. She does not attend red carpets. In a world where former stars launch podcasts, sell skincare lines, or compete on reality television, Kelly chose the opposite. According to property records and local reports from the Santa Ynez area, she continues to live a quiet, rural life, focused on her children and grandchildren. Her son, Dominic, has occasionally posted about her on his own social media, describing her as the strongest person I know. Meanwhile, the entertainment industry has begun reassessing her legacy. The 40th anniversary of Weird Science has sparked critical reappraisals of her performance. Film writer Mark Harris recently called her Lisa, the secret weapon of John Hughes' filmography, a performance of such effortless control that it holds together a movie that, by all rights, should have fallen apart. In the Pantene line she once hated, saying, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful," has been reclaimed by a new generation as an ironic feminist anthem, appearing on TikTok in over 50,000 videos as of March 2026. Kelly herself has not commented on any of this. That silence is its own statement. She was never a Hollywood girl. She never really liked the spotlight. And decades after she left, she has proven that walking away is not failure. Sometimes it is the only victory that matters. She saw the machine from the inside, survived its sharpest edges, and chose a life of dirt under her nails over diamonds. That is not a tragedy. That is a woman who finally found her own peace. Subscribe for more Hollywood stories you never knew you needed. Thanks for watching.